My name is AJ, co-owner of JTAGames. Here at JTAGames, we are driven by our passion for making, creating, and innovating in the video game world. That's why we are proud to work with a quality company like Unity and their high-quality services like Unity Pro. Is your studio ready to take that next step in innovation? Are you wrapping up the final touches on your next level game? Unity Pro is the above and beyond service to accomplish your goals and dreams. With access to publishing to platforms such as PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, and Stadia, your creativity will have no limit. Need help getting past the glass ceiling of building games? With Unity Pro, you get the all-inclusive, priority access to success advisors who are trained to not only help you create the best games out there, but also give you special insight into moving you towards your success. More help is always better than less, right? Now, not ready to make the jump to Unity Pro? That's okay. Everyone's journey is different. Unity Plus is geared towards ensuring that you still have access to great features such as advanced cloud diagnostics and not having the Unity logo at the beginning of your game. Now, without wasting any more time, back to Tyrell with more insight into game development.
Lighting is super important to almost every single game, and Unity games are no exception, for the most part. We're going to see just how many point lights we can actually put into a single game scene before we break Unity, hopefully without breaking my computer. Right now we have a pretty basic setup. We got rid of the directional light, and we have a little box made out of planes, and we have a little sphere inside the center of it just so we can kind of see the light interact with something a little more interesting. One point light obviously does nothing, and we can see in our profiler that we're still hitting a lot of frames per second. So we're just going to go ahead and fill out our scene with 20 point lights and see what happens. As expected, there is next to no change, especially in a scene as simple as this. Now that's actually not very surprising. Point lights are pretty basic, and most games or game engines use a form of them in one way or another. I actually got my start in game development in the creation kit for Skyrim, and they have these things called omnilights, which are pretty much the same thing as point lights, and they fill out almost every single scene. And now here I have 10 sets of 20 lights. And to visualize the frame rate, we're just going to see this ball falling here on the left. Everything still works, but not to worry, because we're going to increase this by 11. Now we have 21 sets of 20 lights. And so far, the ball is still falling at a normal rate, so we're going to jump it again. Now at this point, it might look like a lot, but there's actually only 3,780 lights in the scene. Now while this is a lot of lights, there's actually not that many game objects or other things that the Unity engine has to render. And while our little ball is hard to see, it's not very jittery. You can see that with the profiler, that while it does slow down, it's still running at an acceptable rate. Now running 8,400 lights is when my computer started to not like me, which is why I had to change the background to a solid color. And I also turned down the brightness of the lights a little bit just so we could kind of see things a little clearer. And you can kind of see the ball falling, it's right there. And while it's not awful, it is slowed down a whole lot. And at 33,600 lights, things get pretty ridiculous. Our ball has been enlarged to 3 times its size and is moving about a frame per second. Now trying to just get 100,000 lights into one scene, I had to turn off a lot of the other lights, and it was still super hard. I'm officially my computer's worst enemy. We're at 100,800 lights inside of Unity, and we're just waiting for it to unpause. That way we can see how slow this ball goes. And after waiting forever, you can see right at the end here, it literally moves a single pixel. And I wanted to do a reference with the lights turned on and the lights turned off. And you think the difficult part of this whole thing would be getting the lights in there in the first place, but it wasn't. Deleting these lights literally took me almost 6 hours of waiting for it to just load, deleting them in a couple thousand at a time. Lights normally don't have that big of an impact on the performance, but when it's in the tens of thousands, you can see just how big of a difference it can make. Obviously, I sincerely doubt any of you will have more than a couple thousand lights in your scene at a time, especially not 50 or 100,000.